Hey developers, welcome back to Ayastak. Today we are diving deep into the art of HTTP error handling in Angular, a crucial skill for crafting reliable and user-friendly web applications. Whether you are building an e-commerce store, a social media platform, or any other web application, your Angular app will inevitably encounter errors when interacting with external APIs. This tutorial will empower you with the knowledge to handle these errors gracefully, ensuring your app remains stable and provides a smooth user experience even in the face of unexpected challenges. Before we dive into the code, let's explore some common HTTP error scenarios you might encounter in a real world Angular application. First one is server downtime. So the API you are calling might be temporarily unavailable due to maintenance or technical issues. Second one is invalid API endpoints. You might accidentally use a wrong URL or make a request to an endpoint that doesn't exist. Third one is network issues. Network connectivity problems like slow internet or connection loss can prevent requests from reaching the server. Next one is application error. Unauthorized access attempts like trying to access private data without the proper credential result in the error codes. Next is data validation errors. The API might reject your request if the provided data doesn't meet its validation rules. There are different ways to handle errors. We will be discussing the error handling at the component level. So this is the most direct approach. The most direct approach is to handle errors within your components. This allows you to tailor the error response specifically to the component's context. For example, fetching product data. So imagine you are building an e-commerce app. Your product component needs to display product details fetched from the API. So to imagine this better, let's create a component and service. Use the command ng generate c product. Press enter. That will generate the component. As you can see on the right sidebar, the product component has been generated. Now I need to generate a service with a name ng generate S for service product. Press enter. Okay, the product service has been generated. Let's go to the product service, and here I will define a method get product by ID. We will be expecting the ID in the parameter, and then so we will use the HTTP client to send the API request to the backend server. But before doing that, make sure that your HTTP client module is or HTTP client is available in your application. Otherwise you will not be able to use that service. So for that, as we are using Angular 17 and standalone components, so we have to go to the app.config, and here in the providers array pass another function provide HTTP client and save it. So with that, the HTTP client service would be available throughout your application. Now we need to inject it. To inject, I will be using inject function. So define a property HTTP is equal to inject. Make sure to import the inject function and pass it the HTTP client class. So make sure to import the HTTP client class as well. Once that is done, now we can send request to the backend. So now I have used the ID that we got from the parameter, and I have used the get method, and I'm hitting the backend API on this URL. So this is a fakestoraapi.com. It is functional right now. For example, if you open it, it will give you some data like this. Okay, you can use your own backend API. So this is just for the example. So we can receive string or number, whatever, it doesn't matter. All right. Now let's go to the app component, and here I need to import the product component so that we could add the product component in the app.component.html. So let's add product component, and now in the app.component.html I will simply add product tag in this way. With that, if you open the preview, you will notice that the product component is visible now. Now let's go to the product.component.ts, and here we need to inject our product service in it. So let's define the variable product service is equal to inject. Make sure to import the inject function and now pass it the product service class to it. Now it is injected and we can use it. And now I will define a method fetch product, and within that function I will use the this dot product service dot get product id and pass it any id that you want to use. Now use the subscribe method function and pass a callback function to that subscribe function. So as we want to handle the errors as well, so instead of passing the callback function directly, we will pass an object. Within that we will pass the next property and the error property that will contain the callback function to handle the error. Now in the next we will be receiving the data and we can save that data in the this start product. We have saved it. Now here I can display the product by using the JSON pipe so that we could look into the product variable, and we can also wrap it in the if condition. If product is true, then show the content of that product. Okay, now let's open it. Oh, by the way, we did not call the fetch product function yet, so in the constructor we have to call the fetch product function, save it, and now you can see that we have the data. But if we pass such an id that doesn't exist in the database, it should throw an error. So for example, I just passed the random fake id, and if you open the inspect element you will notice the error in the console. So go to the network and click on the fetch, reload it. We got this. So right now it is not throwing any error if product doesn't exist, but let's try to produce an error by making the URL invalid. So let's suppose we are using invalid URL that doesn't exist. So now it will try to hit that endpoint and it is throwing the 404 error from the backend. Now we need to display this error message in the UI. So for that I will go to the product.component.ts and here I will define a variable error message and default value is string, empty string. So here instead of showing error in the console, I will save it in the error message variable. Actually we have to display that error message in the HTML as well, so we can use the if condition. If error message is true, then show the error. Okay, now you can see that we have an error, but it is an object. We can try to use the JSON pipe to see if it is possible to show the content of this error. So yes, we can see the error object. In that we have in that object we have the property status. We can use that. So let's use the status property. Okay, as we know that we have the status property in the error, so we will use that. Let error is equal to empty string, and here I will use if error is 404, then I will say that product not found. Okay, so let's use the error variable to save in the error message. Save it. Now you will see the error message saying that product not found. Further, here you can specify the type as well, like you can say it is HTTP error response. You can import it, and now you will get the suggestions as well. Like if you're typing error dot, you will see all possible suggestions. If you select error and use the condition, so if this is not the status, and then we can use a generic error message that an error occurred. You can also use any other status code as well, like else if it is 500, then that's mean internal server error, and if it is 401, then the error should be unauthorized. Next we will discuss how to handle errors globally with interceptors. Interceptors act as global middleware layer for HTTP requests and responses. So this allows us to implement consistent error handling across our entire Angular app. So let's generate the interceptor. I will use the CLI command ng-generate, and the name of the interceptor would be HTTP. Okay, the interceptor has been generated. So here we have the request and response. You can give them types as well, like request is of type HTTP request unknown, has the type HTTP handler FN. Okay, save it. Make sure to import these as well. We have the next function. We will use the dot pipe on it because the next function is returning the observable, so we can use the pipe function on it. And within the pipe function we will pass the rxjs operator catch error. Make sure to import it from the rxjs in this way. And now we have to pass a callback function to it. So in the callback function, from the parameter we will be receiving the error, and I will give it the type http error response. In the function I will define a variable let error message is equal to empty string by default, and then I will check if error dot error instance of error event. Then we know that this is client side error, for example network issue. So for that I can console it. Okay, and I can also alert it. So I will save it in the error message variable as well. So let's concatenate it with the actual error message. Then we will have the else condition. So if we are in the else, then that's mean this is a server side error, for example API error. So for that I can again console the error and show the error message in the log, and we will show the error dot status. Also I will show the message error dot message. Okay, and we will save the error in the error message, and after that we will handle the different error types like 401, 404 or 500. So for that I will use if error dot status is equal to 404, then I will save the error message product not found, and similarly for other type of errors. Now here we can display a user friendly error message. You can customize this based on your application needs. You could show a model, a toast, or display the error directly in the component. And one hint is that, for example, you want to show a toast or model, you can create a service and create a subject in that service, and in the app component you can access to a toast or a model, and you can subscribe to that subject that you created in that service. And as soon as the subject is triggered, you will display the toast message based on the payload that you will be sending from the http interceptors. And at the end you will return the throw error function. Make sure to import it as well from the rxjs, and we have to basically pass it a callback function and then the error message in this way. Okay, now it's time to use it in our application. In order to use that, actually before that let me add the alert message so that we could see it is actually working. And let's go to the app.config, and within the provide http client we will use with interceptors function. Make sure to import this function from the http, from the angular common http, and within that function I will pass the array, and within that array I will add all of my interceptors. For now we have only one interceptor, so I will add http interceptor. Okay, now you can see we are getting the alert, and this alert is basically coming from the interceptor. So now you can go back to the product dot component .ts and get rid of this error and all of the error handling here, because we don't need it, we are already handling that. Okay, let's remove it, save it. Okay, now you can see that we are getting the errors. So at this stage, if you have a toast or model, you can use that to display this error message from the interceptor. Now whenever your application makes an HTTP request, this interceptor will automatically catch any errors and handle them based on code. So this ensures a consistent error handling strategy throughout your Angular application. Customize the error handling logic and message according to your application's specific requirements. In this tutorial, we have explored various approaches to HTTP error handling in Angular, from component level to global techniques. By mastering these techniques, you will build web applications that are resilient to unexpected errors and deliver a polished user experience. Remember, always log errors for debugging, craft user-friendly error messages that provide context and guidance, implement consistent error handling across your entire application. Thanks for joining me If you have any questions, feel free to leave the comment below. And if you think I have provided you some value, then please like and share this video, and also please subscribe to my YouTube channel and click on the bell icon to get notified for my upcoming videos. Thanks for watching and see you next time.